ESPN Radio. This is the Thundering Herd Podcast.
There is this movement in the NBA away from Los Angeles, at least with the Lakers, not so much the Clippers. When you think NBA in LA, I know the Clippers are a better franchise right now. I know the Clippers are a winning franchise. I know they're a finals threat. I get it. You still don't think. You think the LA team in the NBA is the Lakers. And they'll tell you that in LA. I think most Clippers would probably tell you that. Maybe. But we're moving away from Lakers even more. We're moving away from Knicks even more. This is a small market league. Just think about the first 2 days of agreements in NBA free agency. Memphis going to keep Marc Gasol. This is a guy that could have gone anywhere. Anywhere. The Lakers would have done anything to get him. New Orleans hanging on to Anthony Davis. Portland. Now, I know LaMarcus Aldridge is leaving, so maybe this is a stretch. But, folks, tell me you didn't think that Damian Lillard would be on his way out, because you can see the writing on the wall in Portland. Of course, Ed Davis decided to leave the Lakers for Portland. But them keeping Lillard, that's a huge get for Portland. You can build around that point guard down the road. Milwaukee. Well, I will get into how good I think Milwaukee is. San Antonio. Leonard Stan, Danny Green Stan, Duncan Ginobili Parker. This team's back, okay? This team is coming back, and who knows what's going to happen with LaMarcus Aldridge. And, of course, Cleveland, are they small market? They don't feel like it, because when LeBron's coming to your place, you don't feel like small market. He led them to a finals in year one again. But, again, Love stays. We know Irving is locked in. Tristan Thompson's staying. They just keep getting the good news. Shumpert's staying. Nobody's leaving there. It is technically small market. But you have all of that going on. And then you have the Lakers, who are piddling around with Kobe Bryant and, I don't know. And you have the Knicks, who are piddling around with Carmelo Anthony and Aaron Aflalo, I guess. Is that good? I mean, it's better than nothing. But it's a different league. And it's one in which, as Brian Windhorst, NBA analyst, explains, an insider explains, makes Milwaukee a more attractive destination than the Lakers or the Knicks.
Bottom line, the Milwaukee Bucks are a lot more attractive franchise right now than the New York Knicks or the Los Angeles Lakers. The Bucks have some really good young players, Jabari Parker, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jason Kidd is the coach that people like playing for. They're investing in a new arena there. They have a new ownership. And in the modern NBA, the advantages that New York and Los Angeles enjoyed for many years appear to be being diluted. And then I don't know if the Knicks and Lakers have completely recognized that yet.
They're going to need to. They're going to need to recognize that, because that is the reality. This league is absolutely changing away from Knicks, Lakers. It is small market. Look at the Thunder. You get them healthy again. Think about the legitimate candidates for an NBA championship next year. And yet Golden State, okay, are they small market? No. Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, that's a huge market. I get that. I think nationally they're deemed more small market. We'll get beyond that. Fine. San Antonio, going to be right there. If they're Aldridge, they may be the front runners. Oklahoma City, when healthy, we know right there. Memphis continuing along. We know right there. Cleveland not going anywhere. Washington, not necessarily small market. They should be pretty good. Milwaukee, folks, is another one here. This is the up-and-comer in my mind because of everything that Windhorst just said. If you watch them play, and I watched them play here a couple of times last year in Charlotte, including in the first game as the Hornets again, the Hornets rebirth. Dari Nowkhah in for Colin. It's the Herd on ESPN Radio. This is a franchise. Antetokounmpo, Middleton there on the wing. These are interchangeable parts with a ton of length. Michael Carter-Williams, you've got a very good young point guard there that's there for the long term. Now you've got Greg Monroe. We bring back Jabari Parker. This is a top four team in the West. I don't think there's any question about it. And while they're scuffling around, you have things like, and I'm going to go back to November for this, Lakers owner Jeannie Buss was at ESPN. There is still a lack of really understanding and realizing where you are when you're the Lakers. There is a superiority complex, if you will, that may be shooting themselves in the foot.
Any free agent that would be afraid to play with Kobe Bryant is probably a loser, and I'm glad they wouldn't come to the team.
Yeah, that's not going to help. No, that's not going to help at all, actually. But that's part of the complex, all the arrogance, the ego that exists there with the Lakers. And also in New York with Phil Jackson, who's continuing to say, I think I've done a pretty good job. And, see, is Kobe a guy you want to play alongside? One, he's aging. You don't know how many more years he goes. You're going to go there. You're going to sign for 4 or 5 years. He's not going to be there that long. Even if he is he a guy you want to play with? And I would put Carmelo in the same boat. I've proclaimed for years now, Carmelo's never going to win a championship unless he leaves the Knicks and signs on with somebody as a 4th or 5th option, a la Ray Allen in Miami. And I know Allen had one in Boston too, but I think it's going to take something like that for him. Then you had news from the NFL yesterday. A flurry of suspensions handed out before they apparently left early for the holiday. 4 of them, and I would say 2 of them are legitimately huge. Who's out, for how long, why, and what does it ultimately mean? I'm going to dive into that.
You're in the Herd, the Thundering Herd podcast.
Going back to a conversation, is it a conversation? No, more of a monologue because nobody else was talking to me. But a minute ago on Carmelo Anthony, and I mentioned him in the Knicks, I don't want to say train wreck, but train wreck. I said Carmelo's not a championship guy, clearly. And I said I don't think Melo's ever going to win a ring until he goes to a franchise as maybe a 4th or 5th option, kind of clings on for the sake of simply winning a ring. I don't think there's anything to that. I think that's it. That's it for Melo. It's not going to happen in New York. It's not going to happen with anybody who builds a franchise around him. See New York. See Denver. The furthest he got in Denver, all right, and I'm going to read this tweet in a minute here from Darren. The furthest he got in Denver was he did reach a conference finals. Okay, he did reach a conference finals. The furthest he's gotten in New York is a conference semifinal or 2 rounds into the postseason. He's played 12 seasons in the NBA, and only once has he gotten to a conference finals. I don't think there's anything wrong with my statement. I stand by it 100 times, but Darren says on Twitter, don't ever say Melo is a 4th or 5th option on a winning team. That's just disrespectful. Yes, he'll score some points. He'll also take some shots. He'll also demand the ball. He's not going to make teammates better. Is there anything wrong or untrue about that? No. I'm going to stand by that. Keep the tweets coming, by the way, at ESPN Dari or at The Herd. All guests will join us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. We can talk about that with Tom Haberstroh, NBA insider, who's going to join us in 15 minutes. Touched on the NFL suspensions a moment ago. 4 of them dumped out by the league on Thursday, assuming before an extended weekend, Independence Day weekend. Sheldon Richardson, Jets defensive end, 4 games for violation of the league's policy and program for substances of abuse. Folks, this is not performance-enhancing drugs. This is other recreational drugs. Richardson, in a statement, this is something that can only be addressed by how I handle myself from this point on. I don't want this to take away from what the team is trying to accomplish. What the team is trying to accomplish is go to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. I think this is going to take away from it. That was me, not him. I'll do whatever I can to support my teammates till I'm able to return to the field. That's him. This is me. They don't need another cheerleader. They need a guy that led the team with 8 sacks last year. Was a defensive rookie of the year 2 years ago, but he's gone for 4 games. League also got Antonio Gates, Hall of Fame-bound tight end for the Chargers. 4 games, violation of the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. Gates says this was from holistic medicine he was taking. You know what? At least he gave us something, right? At least he gave us an explanation of some kind, of some sort. NFL analyst Adam Schefter on Gates' suspension says he's innocent.
This is the NFL's version of fireworks, and essentially it starts off here this weekend with a bang. Antonio Gates was told of his 4-game suspension weeks back, and the way it was explained to me was he was very upset and very surprised. And this is a case where Antonio Gates insists that he's innocent. And I think a lot of people in this day and age would love to believe him. But I think we've become so accustomed and so skeptical at all the explanations and excuses that come along with the suspensions. But I can tell you that Antonio Gates was shocked, disappointed, dismayed, all those things when he found out that he had been suspended for 4 games because he feels like he never knowingly or wittingly ingested anything that would compromise his off-season regimen to getting in shape for the upcoming season.
I don't know what to believe. Schefter's right. We're so used to hearing excuses. We you know what? I mean, I think honestly, the vast majority of players, professional athletes, who fail one of these tests or gets a suspension that we all hear about, I think the first thought from almost all of us is, whatever, okay. See, we sit here and we ask for them to be honest with us about something, and they could say that it was this, it was that, I used this, I didn't know this, my trainer injected me with something I didn't know was on the banned substance list. I went the way of holistic medicine, Antonio Gates. Are we going to believe anybody? I think as a society, what Schefter's saying is right. We are so used to excuses, we almost don't even listen to them anymore. And I don't know if that's a problem. It just is what it is. I don't know if I believe Gates. Quite frankly, I'm so sick of the 4-game suspensions that, fine, I won't miss you for 4 games. It's agitating. It's aggravating. Look, read the labels. Ask more educated people what you are putting into your body. In the case of Sheldon Richardson, lay off whatever drug you are on. Rolando McClain also suspended. Cowboys linebacker had a great season last year. Comeback player of the year type of season. 4 games, violated the league's substance abuse policy. Dallas Morning News was saying he was already in trouble for failing 1 drug test, was going to get a 4-game fine. Now this one hits a legitimate 4-game suspension. Dayton Jones, Packers defensive end, suspended a game by the league. News coming out yesterday of that as well. Violating a league substance abuse policy. Doesn't say what he failed. But we know this policy, if it's a performance-enhancing policy, it's 4 games minimum. So take that into your own hands. You know what this is. It's probably not a performance enhancer. So the league throws out 4 suspensions. Legitimate. I mean, look, Sheldon Richardson and Antonio Gates, these are difference-making suspensions. The Cowboys with McClain just hoping Sean Lee can maybe stay healthy. But, yeah, Gates coming off of a 12-touchdown season. That's his most in 10 years since he had 13 in his second year in the league. He's still a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. This is a stud that San Diego's missing. They're going to – look, they have options. Phillip Rivers will be fine. I don't doubt that. But – you just got to get sick of this news, right? Or are we numb to it now? That's my question. Are we numb to it? 888-SAY-ESPN. Do we hear these and they just roll off our back and we just cross them off the depth chart and move on and let's just get to week 5? If that's what we're doing, I think that's disappointing. Now, again, none of these 4 tests, we know Gates was a performance-enhancing test, but how much does marijuana play into the other ones? Fair question. We may not know the answer to it, but Nate Jackson, former NFL player for the Broncos, tight end, he's firmly of the belief the NFL should allow marijuana use so that players can treat physical pain that comes with the job without becoming reliant on painkillers. He said that he used to do marijuana, smoke marijuana, as a pain killer because he didn't want to retire hooked on prescription drugs. I can see that, I guess. But I think that we're fooling ourselves if we want to believe that most NFL players want marijuana legalized in the league, even though it's legal in 4 states, it's still not in the league, to ease pain. I don't think we're silly enough to believe that that's what the majority of them would want. It is The Herd on ESPN Radio. Dari Nowkhah in for Colin. Shelby, welcome in. You're in The Herd on ESPN Radio.
Hey, Dory, listen to you and Mel on the Saturdays, and it's a pretty good show. I just wanted to say this. I think it depends on the athlete for society on whether or not we believe them. For like Antonio Gates, for example, he's been a person who's been successful. He's worked hard, and for the most part, for what we know of, he's done it right. So I know for me personally, I'm willing to accept that he didn't think it was anything wrong. He was just doing holistic medicine. Now, if you take someone else who has just been a repeat offender, then I think that's when society gets tired of it. Now hang up and hear your take on that.
It does depend in all that. Yes, I think it depends on who the athlete is, and Gates has never. There's so many sides to this. I think it depends on who it is. Is it somebody that's ever been in the news for a negative reason before? Is it somebody who's complained about contracts or being underpaid when they signed a front-loaded deal? Darrelle Revis. Is it a guy that just is generally unlikable? And none of that is Antonio Gates. I don't remember hearing anything that was atrocious about Antonio Gates, so maybe it's easier to believe him. Does that mean, though, that a guy who has rubbed teammates the wrong way, complained about contracts in a way that us, the fan, thinks is ridiculous, unfair, spoiled, egotistical, you name it, is it different if it's them? Our perception of it probably is. Does it mean that he's lying to us any more than Antonio Gates? Potentially. I'm not saying Gates is lying. I kind of believe Gates. I don't know. See, athletes are either likable or unlikable, right? Steph Curry, likable. Could never do anything wrong. LeBron James, he's gone from lovable to unlikable to likable again. Likability forms our opinion on these guys. It does. It probably always will. Does our opinion on these guys indicate what's true or not as in terms of what they're telling us? Absolutely not. We're all jaded. We're all biased. Maybe it's on us. But let's not legalize marijuana in the NFL, because I'm not buying the fact that most athletes would want it legal so that they could cope with pain better. I don't believe that for a second.
Want more of the herd? The Thundering Herd Podcast.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
We've got the Women's World Cup going on, and we've got free agency in the NBA. And it's been a wonderful couple of days, at least for me as a small market guy. And I realize Colin's not necessarily that. Look, I am. I'm from Oklahoma. I am a Thunder fan. I am a small market guy. I live in Charlotte, which is a small market NBA city. And it's been wins for the small markets around this league over the first 2 days of agreements in free agency. Remember, nobody can sign till the 9th. Tom Haberstroh, ESPN NBA insider in our Bristol studio, joining me. Tom, good to talk to you. Sorry I'm not sitting next to you there, as we are separated by 1,000 miles or so. But in this first couple of days, the way the small markets have succeeded, from Memphis keeping Gasol to the Spurs keeping Leonard and Green, to the Bucks getting Monroe and locking up Middleton, to the Pelicans keeping Davis. How do you describe what that means within the NBA?
Well, this is what the NBA's league office wanted, Dari, is in the last CBA, they wanted to flatten out the competitive balance so that everyone is playing on a flat playing field. So you're seeing right now, and don't forget where you are, Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson came to Charlotte, and they did get Lance Stevenson. We know how that ended up. But you look at Greg Monroe going to Milwaukee and turning down the Lakers, turning down the Knicks. I mean, think about that for a second. 5 years ago, that would have been crazy. No one would have thought that, one of the premier free agents, a guy who plays back to the basket, the type of free agent that both those teams were looking for. The Knicks, with Derek Fisher and Phil Jackson running the show, wanted that back to the basket throwback center. Couldn't get him. Then Byron Scott wanted the same thing in L.A. They didn't draft Jahlil Okafor because they wanted a big man. Couldn't get him. So this is a fascinating development in the NBA. I don't know if it's great for business, because if the Knicks and the Lakers aren't doing well, maybe people aren't tuning in. But we're a nation of rubberneckers. We love looking at the guys who aren't doing well and seeing what's going wrong and jumping on the graves of the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks. But I will say this, Dari. I kind of like what the Knicks have done here, because they're making moves on the low, like with Aaron Aflalo at the 2, a 1-year deal, and then Robin Lopez potentially getting him, that's a good defensive squad. And for all the talk about Carmelo Anthony, they need to build around him defensively. So as much as the Knicks and the Lakers are striking out, that's all right.
Okay, I'm gonna get into Melo in a minute, Tom. But the Bucks, this is a team I was on late last season in the postseason. I actually picked them to beat Chicago. Ended up being dead wrong on that. But
I love small markets, man. Wow.
Yeah, I do. But with the exception of the finale, which was, a 60-point loss or whatever, I still thought the majority of that series they played very well, and they had chances to win a couple of early games. But now you bring in Monroe, you lock in Middleton, and Antetokounmpo's a guy, long, lanky, athletic. I like him, too. Very young still. What is he, 20, 21 maybe? And let's not forget Jabari Parker's coming back. I'm having a hard time trying to keep them out of the top 3 potentially in the East. Where do you see Milwaukee as they sit right now?
Yeah, that's their ceiling, top 3. I mean, you're looking at Jabari Parker coming in, adding the offense, and, man, there's so much length on that front line. You got Antetokounmpo, you got Chris Middleton, and you said it, they've just got so much length. And, look, Greg Monroe, he's 6'11", but he's got a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. So there's just so much length. He's not going to be a big shot blocker, but you're still not going to be getting around these guys. So that's where the league is trending, is athletic, really, really long guys who keep you in front of you. And Giannis Antetokounmpo has the skills to play point. I mean, they got such a versatile roster. And as you saw with the Golden State Warriors, you need that versatility because as soon as you switch up, you got to be able to play big. You got to be able to play small. So when you have Andre Iguodala playing the 3, Draymond Green playing the 5, that unlocks so much potential for your team. I think Jason Kidd understands that. So Greg Monroe, big signing, but if he isn't working out in some particular game, they can go big. I mean, they can go small. They can do whatever they want, and that's the versatility that's going to unlock them. I see them as a 4, 5, 6 seed in the East. And yes, if things break right, I mean, think about that. 3 seed from Milwaukee, and 2 years ago they won 15 games.
It's wild. It's wild. I still can't figure out with a 7'2" wingspan how Monroe doesn't accidentally block more than half a shot a game, but that's maybe different.
You got to be able to jump.
That's what it is, yeah. Carmelo Anthony, I've drawn a lot of ire from Knick fans this morning here. I don't think you build a team around him and expect to win a championship. I don't think he's a championship player. I think he's going to have to cling on late in his career as a 3rd, 4th, maybe a 5th option, probably a 4th option. Ray Allen-ish type of guy to win it. And I don't feel bad about saying that. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, look at Paul Pierce, right? No one at this stage of his career, when he was in his 30 or so, no one thought that he was going to be able to be the guy that takes him to the championship, to the promised land. And this is one of the best-known winners in the league. He wasn't the number 1 guy. I mean, it was Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and the 3 of them with Doc and Rondo, they needed a squad. Paul Pierce couldn't do it alone in Boston. And I think Carmelo Anthony, if he gets guys like that, a KG to come play with him, the modern-day KG, his entire reputation is going to change. And he doesn't have to do it as the number 1. He has to understand that that's what's going to take. Guys who are versatile, guys who are skilled, amazing shooter in Ray Allen. So he needs those type of players. I don't know if Robin Lopez and Aflalo are that yet, but he needs to get those guys soon because he's getting up there in age at 31.
Tom, go do some Sports Center, buddy. Good talking to you.
All right, thanks, Dari. Enjoy Charlotte.
All right, thank you much. I love it here. Yes, I love the Queen City of the South, my home for the last 4 years. All right, it is. The league's changing, folks. You want to get on me about what I'm saying about Melo? Go right ahead. You can chime in anytime. 888-SAY-ESPN. Would love to have you do it. Lakers, Knicks, falling fast. Small markets rising. It's the new NBA.
You're in the herd. The Thundering Herd Podcast.
Somebody asked me on Twitter, why can't the Heat, because now the thought is LaMarcus Aldridge is out there, he's talking to Pat Riley, and it's really not going to do any good because they have no money here. So the question was, why can't they slash some contracts like Birdman, like Chalmers, and just simply create the money for LaMarcus Aldridge? That's a decent question. I can certainly ask. We know the Miami Heat are paying Dwayne Wade $20 million with a 1-year deal. Not going to lie to you, when I saw this last night, was the first time I saw it, I said, he's still a $20 million guy, Dwayne Wade? It was a 21.5 point a game average he put up last year. It went a little bit under the radar. 4 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 47%. Better numbers than I expected. I didn't really realize that. I'll be honest with you. I paid virtually no attention to the Miami Heat last year. They wanted to give him a little bit more money. He's taken the one-year $20 million deal, a chance at a bigger contract next season, or a chance to create room for Kevin Durant, as many as 10 or 15 teams are going to try to do next season. Certainly hope he doesn't leave, but that's beside the point. Is he a $20 million player? I think that there is a topic in this somewhere because I was having it with the crew, with the guys, and Allie before the show. Are they paying Wade the $20 million because he's a $20 million player right now? I'm not sure he is. Or is some of that because of what he's meant to the franchise? He's helped bring them championships, 3 total. And he's a guy that they'd like to show a little goodwill to because, boy, it'd be great if he never played for anybody but Miami. I don't know where that sits. I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. I think it's really interesting debate, though, about in sports, whether you pay a player based on what you expect to get over the course of the contract, or do you pay a player based upon what he's meant to you over the years? And maybe it depends on the player and the previous contracts the players had, right? So Russell Wilson, going to make a ton of money. He won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks making rookie money, virtually, rookie contract money. You pay him a ton of money. Yeah, he's probably that good of a player anyway, but do you feel bad a little bit if you're Seahawk management about, well, we really got away with one, having a Super Bowl championship quarterback on a rookie scale? I don't know, maybe. What if you're Dwayne Wade? What if you're Miami? First of all, how many other teams would have paid Dwayne Wade that kind of money? Is he a $20 million player? Do you have a take? 888-SAY-ESPN. For 1 year, 21.5 a game last year, although he's hurt so often. And just, you know what? I said earlier, what is he, 35? The answer was what? What, guys, 32, 33? What did we say Dwayne Wade is now? I think he's 33. He's 33. You watch him play, sometimes he looks like he's 53, though, doesn't he? He's still getting $20 million. Be a big year for him to see what he can demand or command next year. Maybe, you know what? Maybe they're thanking him for not taking max money when they put the big 3 together, because neither he nor LeBron nor Bosh took max money. They were just shy of that number when the big 3 was formed. I don't know if he's worth $20 million. I can appreciate the fact that he's never left. I can appreciate the 3 rings. I'm okay with that, I think. Are they going to get Durant next year? Well, the sweepstakes are enormous. And most think he's either staying in Oklahoma City or he's going to Washington. I certainly hope he stays in Oklahoma City. But I'm curious as to your take on whether or not Dwayne Wade really is a $20 million player. I mean, we're seeing fat contracts to guys that I don't understand. The Thunder paying Kyle Singler far more than I ever thought he was worth, particularly with diminishing returns over the course of the time he was a Thunder player last season. We can get back into that. People like Miami. I don't know if I like Miami that much. I threw out on Twitter last night a tier system in the East as I saw it. And my tier 1 in the East was Cleveland, Chicago, Washington, and Milwaukee. I told you I'm buying the Bucks. Tier 2, and this is in no particular order, although those 4 probably are. I'll put tier 2 in a scrambled mix because I don't know exactly how I'd put them there. But Miami, Toronto, Atlanta, and Charlotte. I would make that a tier 2 in the East. Boston and Indiana somewhere on the outside looking in. Maybe they can make runs. Indiana's very interesting to me. Paul George healthy. Monte Ellis. I don't hate what they look like right now at all. Guy, you're in the herd on ESPN Radio.
Hi, good morning, sir. I just was wondering why do you figure D-Wade doesn't earn that 20 when he brought the franchise off their back before he even won a few rings with him, playoffs, and then when D-Wade came, LeBron came a pay cut, so he should get reimbursed. This is basically reimbursement at this moment, to me.
Yeah, that's the argument, though, and I think it's fair. Because you're talking about what he's done for the franchise, right? Now, he may not have had fully max money. He's been at 95% or so of max. He's been very well compensated. He could walk away from the Heat tomorrow, and nobody would feel like he was ripped off from the organization or by the organization. It just depends. How do you feel we should pay athletes or management should pay athletes? Because goodness knows we're not paying. Well, I mean, our network may be helping pay some, but do you pay for what you expect to get over the life of the contract, or do you pay for what that athlete has given you over the life of the contract? I think it's a debate and an interesting one.
Want more of the herd? The Thundering Herd Podcast.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
You know what might still happen, free agent-wise, trade-wise? Some mention about David Lee's name has been thrown out there. Julius Randle's name has been thrown out there. What does he see? And quite frankly, why does he see it? That's coming up. 888-SAY-ESPN. Anytime you want to jump into the herd, always glad to have you. We're always presented by Progressive Insurance. And don't forget to celebrate a birthday, anniversary, or even just because with a special gift. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN for flowers and gifts starting at $29.99. I mentioned a moment ago, Alex Rodriguez wants to walk to Cincinnati. Why? Because he would to be a 15-time American League All-Star. He's been to 14 of them. He says, quote, I would walk there like the guy who walked to Yankee Stadium. He told ESPN New York, I would walk to Cincinnati. Hard to believe this month A-Rod turns 40. He's hitting .280 for the Yankees. He has not hit that high in 6 years. How about that? 15 homers, 45 RBIs. No, he's not going to get in. He was fifth among DHs in voting, well beyond the top four. In fact, the fourth highest was Victor Martinez. He's well behind him. But he's been a great story, right? I'm not an A-Rod fan, quite frankly, at all. However, I can appreciate what he's doing. I think we have to assume he's clean, unless you really do continue to believe that PED medicine is well ahead of baseball, and it may be. I'm going to assume that he's not doing anything. I'm going to assume that he's staying clean. I don't know. Do we get anything by assuming otherwise? I don't know. I can appreciate what he's doing. I don't hate it. I will say this, I don't hate it. And remember that $6 million bonus that A-Rod was due when he hit career home run number 660, tying Willie Mays, because there are these roster bonuses that would kick in from the Yankees to A-Rod every time he caught up to one of the members on the all-time home run list, one by one by one. 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. And so we thought they were going to pay him $6 million for catching Willie Mays. And they made it clear they had no desire to. And, Alex never really came out and said, they're robbing me, yada, yada, yada. I think he's appreciative of the fact that he's even getting to play baseball right now. I know he was due the money either way, but they've made it work somehow in New York. We thought the two sides, though, would eventually go to war over this $6 million. It does not look like that's happening. CBSSports.com reporting that the two sides are discussing a scenario in which they would whittle down that $6 million number to $3 million and send it to charity. Now, that's a win. That is something we can get behind, right? Give money to charity. Now, here's the other side of this, and I know you'll be out there, and so I'll get on it too. If you're going to give it to charity, why whittle it down from 6 to 3? Charities could use all $6 million. Could. Many of you are riled up over the fact that I don't think Carmelo Anthony is a championship performer unless he kind of jumps onto another team that is a championship contender, a team that's already made to be a championship contender, maybe being a third or fourth option. I did not realize there were so many Carmelo fans. I realize the show is big in New York, however. Doug, you're in the herd on ESPN Radio.
Yes. I'd just like to comment on the fact that everybody, I think people who dislike Carmelo Anthony, say like you and Colin, it's personal because I've listened to everybody giving LeBron James a pity party for the offensive talent that was out there in the series, and that's the talent that Carmelo has played with his whole career. When if you don't have no one else to go to, you have to shoot 30 shots a game. And what people would say was, well, Jason Kidd, he had Amari Stoudemire. Jason Kidd was in about his 16th year. He wasn't the same Jason Kidd. Amari Stoudemire didn't play, and even if he did, he's not the Amari Stoudemire that we know.
Yeah.
He had J.R. Smith, who played worse in the Indiana series than he did in this series, in the Golden State series. He had Tyson Chandler, who was supposed to be the best defensive center in the league. He got killed by Roy Hibbert. So it's like everybody says throughout LeBron's career, he gets a pass where everybody else don't seem to get one.
Well, now LeBron's different, though, because LeBron has taken two offensively inept teams to the NBA Finals. Two times he's done that with Cleveland. So you can't compare LeBron and Carmelo. That's not a LeBron fan in me, and I'm not a LeBron fan. I like LeBron. I have nothing against him. He's not my favorite player. I don't dislike him. I appreciate the heck out of him. I enjoy watching him, and I think he's the best player on the planet, bar none. But this isn't me loving on LeBron or hating on Carmelo. LeBron has been to 6 NBA Finals. He's been to 2 of them with teams that offensively, especially once they lost Irving in Game 1 of the Finals, had no reason to even be competitive, and they were far more competitive with Golden State than anybody thought they would be. So making that comparison is a joke. Carmelo Anthony has had more talent than any. Why do we make excuses for him? Okay, look, I'm going to tell you the team that he had when he got to the conference semis, okay, as a Knick. Raymond Felton, 14 points, 6 assists a game. There's your point. J.R. Smith gave him 18 a game. Tyson Chandler was a double-double guy. Jason Kidd, yes, you're right. This was a 6-point a game. Jason Kidd, he's 3 assists a game. He was not, that was Felton's team running the point. But you want to put him up against some of the other teams in the East in that time? There was who? Miami. And who? So this is what I'm saying. And I listen to Colin sometimes too, and I know what you're saying. You want to compare my take to his take, whatever. Look, Melo has been in the NBA 12 full seasons. He has been to 0 NBA Finals. He has been to 1 Conference Finals in 12 seasons with a variety of pieces and parts and players put around him. At some point, do we not simply have to look at history, at the facts, at the fact that people aren't dying to go play next to him now and say, this is what this is. He is not a leader of a championship team. Quit making excuses for him, and for goodness sake, don't compare him to LeBron James, okay? Melo's not taking the 07 Cavs and the 15 Cavs into the NBA Finals. He's not. Eric, you're on the herd on ESPN Radio.
I agree with that.
The way I look at it is Carmelo Anthony. When he was in his early part of his career, yeah, he was a great guy. He had a chance to be. He could have been an all-star, But here's the thing with Carmelo: he doesn't play defense. He's getting older, and right now he's a third option on a team that needs help. That's what he is right now. He's a third option on a team that needs help.
That's it. He may win a ring. He may. He may win a ring down the road with Miami. He may win a ring down the road with Oklahoma City. He may jump on the Warriors wagon at some point and win one. Maybe he'll be the missing piece for the Clippers if they could ever afford him. He'll win a ring at some point. I think this isn't college basketball. This isn't 2003. This isn't Syracuse. And he's not a one-man show leading a team, and goodness sakes, he's not LeBron James. He will be a piece of a championship, probably an unnecessary piece of a championship that happens to win a championship someday. I'm not straying from that. I've thought that for a long time about Carmelo Anthony. How could the Knicks build a team around him?
You're in the Herd, the Thundering Herd podcast.
2 days of free agent agreements. Of course, nobody can sign till the 9th of the month. And it's been a small market success story with signings and re-signing or agreements and agreements to re-sign. Tom Penn, a longtime front office executive, current NBA analyst for ESPN, joining us right now via the Subway Fresh Take hotline. Tom, I know that you've got the big board and you're in studio. I can see you now, Tom.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Give me another one or two things, agreements, moves that you expect maybe in the next day or two that could really continue to change the landscape around here.
Man, it's been just a wild frenzy of everybody protecting what they got. Seriously, everybody's been playing defense, not offense. Every team virtually re-signing their own guys and saying, stay away from my stuff.
Okay, fine. Well, what do we make of that? Did you expect this much of that?
Well, in years past, you could always go after other teams' free agents because of financial pressure. You knew that there was this luxury tax pressure or the ability of teams to not want to lock up their cap. We're at the beginning of this boom in salaries because of the new television money that's coming in. The new contracts start next year. So there's no short-term or long-term pressure. When that cap jumps $20 million and then another $20 million per team, there's no risk in keeping your own guys long-term. So Draymond Green, keep him because just lock him up at that big number because we're not in any luxury tax trouble for year and year and year after year. So that's part of the reason the money's flowing everywhere. And then what surprised me a little bit is the players are taking it while they can get it versus betting on next year. You'll see LeBron take a one-year deal with a one-year option because if he waits till next year, when that number goes up, his max baseline goes up $8 million a year. So he can get a much bigger deal. So I guess I'm a little surprised more guys haven't taken a little bit of that risk. Give me 2 years guaranteed. Let me opt out after 1 year, and I'm going to ring the bell next year.
One of the beautiful things that I love watching you do is try to work trades on the board. And I saw it for a couple of years in person in Bristol, and then I moved here, and now I only get to see it on TV. Work a trade for me, because I know David Lee's a name that's been out there. Julius Randle's a guy that you've thrown around out there. What is something that you believe we could see in the next week or two?
So first of all, the board is cool, right? All that technology, and kudos to the crew here at ESPN that worked their tails off to create it. It's awesome. I just did something on SportsCenter, and I'm doing it again at the top of the hour. I want to know what Pat Riley talked to LaMarcus Aldridge about last night. That is a wild card because if you think about it, Miami can easily do a sign and trade to get LaMarcus Aldridge for Chris Bosh. You get a younger, hungrier, sort of edgier, a little tougher kind of guy, a different four-man. The pitch to LaMarcus is, we're ready to go and we're ready to last. They got Dwayne Wade right next to him. He'd have Whiteside as a young big who's going to be there for the next decade to watch his back. Luol Deng is the small forward, and then a good point guard to get him the ball where he wants it in Dragic, then they're deep. Udonis Haslem can come in and spell LaMarcus Aldridge so he doesn't have to play 40 minutes and carry that load. Chris Anderson can come right next to him again and watch his back at all times. He wants to play the 4, not the 5. And then Chalmers, Winslow, the young kid for the future. There is a super compelling story in Miami, and you know Pat Riley laid his championship rings in front of LaMarcus and said, I didn't get these as a coach. I got them as an executive, and if you come here, we'll do it again and again. That's pretty interesting to me.
And you say, why would Portland do it? Well, it's just so they could get something and not lose Aldridge for nothing.
Well,
So,
and it's more than something. It's Chris Bosh, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's a legit replacement. So, yeah, it's much better than him going to San Antonio for nothing.
Is Wade a $20 million player?
Yeah. For that franchise, heck yeah. There's 3 banners. There's 3 banners there. He's given up.
Now here, I guess this gets me, and I don't want to interrupt you, but this is kind of, I guess, the bigger question. When do you decide if you're paying for past production and loyalty versus what you expect to get out of the term of the contract production-wise?
Well, you do it like this, and the way they're doing it year by year is good. But it's not just the banners that are hanging there. It's what he did to get those banners there. When they formed the Big Three in 2010, he led the way, giving up $3 million a year on a 5-year deal. That was a $15 million give back. LeBron and Bosh followed suit. They gave the same money. Then last summer, when everybody opted out, Dwayne opted out of $42 million guaranteed, and he signed up for $31 million guaranteed. So he only got 15 of that last year. Now he's getting another 20. Stack those 2 years together, he gets $35 million, but he left $42 million on the table. And this is all part of the deal here, is that when Dwayne left that money on the table, there's a loyalty here, I'll take care of you for what you're doing for us. So with the $20 million, Wade gets some of it back, and then he's now got that flexibility next year that I talked about. When the boom comes, virtually every single team in the league, including Golden State, as well as they're built, will have room for a max player because that cap is going to go so high.
I saw a couple of months ago Tom Penn joining us, former front office executive and current NBA analyst, where you suggested, because you mentioned the offseason next year, that the Thunder could potentially trade Kevin Durant, potentially, as if they feel they're going to lose him. What's the likelihood of something like that happening?
Oh, can we not talk about this
No.
one?
Oklahoma
City. I can't even fly over there without being at risk.
Well, guess what? I'm a Thunder guy here, so I'm an Okie, so that's why I'm asking you again.
Well, here's what's coming next, and this is the undeniable truth, is that the drumbeat of his impending free agency will get louder and louder because there's no way he'll re-sign in Oklahoma City early, and it's because the rules are slanted against him. All he could do is add 3 more years as a multiple of his current maximum salary. If he waits until the summer, he can sign 5 years instead of 3 more. He gets 5 total, and he starts at that new mega max salary. So there's no practical way under any circumstances he would extend early. So if he's not going to extend early, we're going to say, is he leaving? Is he leaving? Is he leaving? Is he leaving? They have a 3-game losing streak. Is he leaving? Is he leaving? And if it gets to where it looks like he might be leaving, Sam Presti has proven with the trade of Harden back when he traded him that he'll trade a guy earlier than he has to. And I don't know if he'll do it with Durant, but if there's a bona fide threat that he's leaving and they're going to get nothing for him, and if things aren't going well in Oklahoma City, you could see some sort of move made. It's not, it's not crazy. I don't know that it's likely, but it's going to be something to watch, and it's going to be a storm through the year for them that they're going to have to deal with.
You walked into a show hosted by an Okie, whether it's flyover territory or not. I was going to hit you on that. Last thing real quick, Melo's been a very interesting topic of conversation between me and the people listening. If Carmelo Anthony wins a championship, Tom, will he be the first, second, or third option on that team?
If Carmelo Anthony wins a championship, well, I don't think it's in New York, because in New York he would be only the first option. I think the chance for him to win a championship in his career is if they trade him to a contender where he's the it depends on what you mean by first option. He could still be the first scoring option because he's among the best scorers in the league, but he cannot be the alpha leader of the team. He would have to go next to someone who it's his team, not Carmelo's.
Yep.
Carmelo's coming in as the hired gun to help him win it. So it'd have to be like the way, Dwayne Wade's team, but the next Dwayne Wade, or, sort of a young stud maybe, who it's very clear it's Russell Westbrook's team, but Carmelo's the number 2 guy right next to him, because I don't believe Melo is the number 1 guy on a championship team. He's not been out of the first round of the playoffs, I don't think, in his whole career. So certainly not anywhere near the championship.
No, he got to 1 conference finals in Denver. What you just said is what I've tried to say for an hour and a half. Tom, I knew I loved having you for a reason, man. Thank you much.
My pleasure.
That's it. All right. See, I'm not completely off my rocker, you Melo lovers out there. I'm just stating what I believe, what Tom believes too. Maybe I said 3rd or 4th option. He says maybe the 2nd. You get my point. It's not happening in New York. That's absolutely, positively it.
Check out The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and on ESPNU. The Thundering Herd Podcast.